For the past 150 years, America has been leading the world in industrial cheese production. This is the country that invented cheese slices, created the first processed cheese, and even developed cheese in cans. But over the last 2 decades, there's been a revolution. And I've come here to Northwest California to visit some specialist cheesemakers. California is famous for its stunning natural coastline, the laid-back lifestyle, and a diverse variety of food and wine. When it comes to cheese, it should be no surprise that the dairy authorities here market this state as the home of happy cows. California is the second largest cheese-making region in the United States and produces almost 1 billion kilos of cheese. But there's a catch. Almost all the cheeses made here are mass-produced, and handmade specialist cheesemaking is only a very recent idea. I'm on my way to Tulare County, which is the largest milk-producing region in California. It's home to more than 400,000 cows, and they produce more than 1 billion gallons of milk a year. The place I'm going to has got more than 5,000 cows, and they use just 1% of their milk to make cheese. The Hilarides property was created in the 1920s by settlers from Holland, and it's now a 4th-generation dairy farm. What makes it unusual in these parts is a cheese-making facility which is operated by the farmer's eldest daughter, Marisa Simos.
It's beautiful. We have beautiful California sunshine for our cows, very rich soil, lots of crops and citrus are grown in this area, which are also all fed to our cows. And we're also in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains, which is just a beautiful range to see on a clear day like this. Well, our first batch of cheese was made by my father and I, and we made cheese together up until about a year ago. Now, just in the last 6 months, I have been able to work myself out of the cheese plant and concentrate more on sales and more on the marketing aspect of the business. Serena is our original. This is the cheese that we've made since we started. It is an Italian-style cheese, but it's a bandage-wrapped, natural rinded cheese. I almost compare it to a Parmigiano, but the texture is so much different, and it just has the same kind of sharp, aged Italian bite to it, but it's just very different, original.
In just a few years, Marisa has earned a national reputation for her cheeses, which are all made from raw milk.
We actually started it as a father-daughter project. Marisa expressed some interest in doing something like that, and we started experimenting as just kind of a little project, and it kind of took off from there.
Rob's farm is typical of those in the county, and with the very latest rotary dairy technology, he can milk over 5,000 cows twice a day.
We have 2 barns here, and we're building a 3rd. The way that most of our cows are milked here is on a rotary carousel, and the cows just get on, they go around the wheel. By the time they make it to the opposite side, they're milked out. Cows really like to go for the ride.
But why the name Three Sisters?
3 sisters. Right now, there's only 1 sister doing any of the work.
Exactly.
My sisters are quite a bit younger than I am. One's still in college, and one is still in middle school. So they're not involved in the business yet. We named it after our family because it was a family business.
Despite representing less than 1% of the farm's milk, the success of Three Sisters has proved there is real potential for the future of handmade cheese on California's large farms. When you're searching for cultural revolution in America, one very obvious place to begin is in the dynamic port city of San Francisco.
Right turn in 0.5 miles.
This sophisticated city was the epicenter for alternative culture, psychedelic tunes, and the 60s summer of love. Much has changed since those times, and a new kind of revolution is taking place with a burgeoning interest in naturally produced local foods.
I love cheese.
What sort of cheese do you like?
American, French, and Swiss cheese. I like Swiss cheese. I like all kind of cheese. 'Cause I love cheese. Cheese is cheese.
This food market has been attracting large crowds for more than a decade, and it was here I caught up with American cheese authority Laura Whirling.
First of all, American cheese is growing by leaps and bounds, specifically artisan and specialty cheeses. And the best analogy is to the wine industry in the United States, where 30 years ago people looked down their nose at American wine, thought it wasn't really worth drinking. Of course, we know now that American wine is worth drinking. And the same thing is true with cheese. We started as a kind of a manufacturing society in terms of what our cheeses were. Now we've gone back in time in a good way, and we're making fantastic artisan cheeses, particularly in Northern California.
Laura has written several books on specialist cheese, which have helped raise the profile of many new Artisan and Farmstead cheesemakers.
Oh, really? Well, that's what, no.
Yeah, now chocolate's the same. This market is really important because it links regional local producers with their customers. You can buy anything here, from bread, olives, honey, Californian caviar, and of course, a great range of artisan cheeses.
It's a triple cream, it's very buttery.
One of California's most distinctive cheese-making operations is called Cowgirl Creamery.
How you doing today?
Created by two well-respected local chefs, the business has a retail shop inside the markets, which does a roaring trade in cheeses from all around the world. Their brand of cheese is made at a small dairy based at Point Reyes Station, 50 miles north of San Francisco in beautiful Marin County.
It's the first dairy region of California, and it was populated by European immigrants who were given land grants for the purpose of starting herds of cattle. Right after the gold rush, the population of San Francisco quadrupled. And so what they did was they set up a processing center right at the water here in Point Reyes, and they put the butter on barges, butter and cheese, and sent it down to San Francisco. The first 4 years, I made all the cheese myself, and my business partner, Peggy Smith, ran the little deli at the other end, which is got some delicious food. It has pâtés and, picnic foods to take away, little sandwiches and great salads. And so we thought out here, it'd be really fun to make cheese in front of a glass window, and so they might get the connection between the beautiful pastures and the pastoral land here and the food that comes from that. So we purposely opened it up to the public.
Cowgirl Creamery sourced their cheese-making milk from the nearby organic Strauss family dairy. One of my favourites from this very original range is a sensational washed rind cheese, which goes by the name of Red Hawk.
We just wash it with the salt water, and the red bacteria grows on it naturally, and it just grows native in the area. So this is a real special cheese for us because we couldn't make it anywhere else.
Whilst we were getting lost on our way here, we came across some elks. What are they doing around here?
This is their habitat. They're in the Point Reyes National Seashore They're protected, and no, you can't milk them.
Oh, why not?
We're trying to pretend we're in the wild here.
Ah, okay. Driving north on Route 101 soon brings you to Sonoma County and the township of Sebastopol on the western edge of the Santa Rosa Plain. During the 1970s, this well-known apple and grape growing region became home to an enterprising Portuguese couple named Joe and Mary Matos. Joe and Mary come from the island of Saint George in the Azores and began making their own traditional cheese, which is known here as St. George.
I used to milk cows and she's making cheese. And
So you would do your full-time job and milk cows at the same time?
And help her.
So how much sleep did you get?
Sometimes 3-4 hours.
Ah, nice, nice.
Well, the flavor is like between a Swiss and a Monterey, but it's a little tinging, the taste of it. And the older it gets, the more flavor it gets. It's better to eat when it's about 3, 4, 5 months old. But we sell it so fast, we don't have that age.
Dad is actually the 5th generation that is making this cheese.
So now you've got 35 cows here?
Now we have 35 cows. We're working with approximately 200 gallons of milk.
And you're using raw milk, aren't you?
This is a raw milk. We do a heat treatment, but it's not pasteurized. It's just a heat treatment.
The laborious island method of hand stirring the curds is now all done by Joe's daughter Sylvia. Only raw cow's milk from the farm is used to make St. George cheese. And once the curds are moulded, each is pressed for 2 days before being aged for up to a year on wooden racks. This is typical farmhouse cheese making, and you can really taste the difference in every batch of cheese. Any trip to Northern California wouldn't be complete without at least one stop to check out a local winery. Doug Fletcher is chief winemaker at the Chimney Rock Winery in Napa Valley. He has worked with the grapes from the district for several decades and offered to guide me through a tasting of some of his creations.
Chimney Rock makes about 30,000 cases of wine, all estate grown in Stag's Leap District. But Chimney Rock's owned by the Terlato family, and they own 4 other wineries in California. Let's taste this Sauvignon Blanc here. I thought you might be interested in.
I wouldn't mind one of these in my kitchen. Wouldn't that be nice, hey?
It's got a nice little touch of oak on it. And I really think the Sauvignon Gris comes through a little bit on it.
One of the things when you try wine and cheese, a really good trick, is you put a little bit of the cheese on the tip of your tongue. Chew it.
Let it melt away.
Let it melt round your tongue. And before you swallow it, take a sip of wine. And wash the whole lot down together. Sounds absolutely disgusting, but it brings the flavour of the cheese and the wine together like this.
Well, you know, when you tell people about how to slurp wine, it's the same way. You know, you tell them to put it in your mouth and gurgle air through it and swish it around a bit. It sounds like mouthwash almost.
Yeah, that sort of works. It probably might work a bit more. How about some Monterey Jack with it? Do you reckon that'll work?
Oh, yeah, okay.
That might be more appropriate, a little bit stronger. There is one Californian cheese whose name goes back more than a century, and it's made right here in the city of Sonoma. Its origins date back to the 18th century, when Spanish missionaries introduced cheese-making to Mexico and Southern California. And its name, of course, is Monterey Jack.
The original Monterey Jack is an offshoot of the Mission cheese that was made in the missions here One of the people who was, today we'd call him an entrepreneur, his name was David Jacks. He was a Scotsman. And he came, jumped ship in Monterey, went up to the gold fields, and the water was too cold and the work was too hard. So he came back to Monterey and first started, this is how good an entrepreneur he was. He first started as a clerk in a mercantile store. Then he became a partner in the mercantile store. Then he owned the mercantile store. And then gradually he began to acquire land. One of the places he
Ignacio Vela, or Ig as he's better known around these parts, went on to explain that this benchmark cheese was once known as Jack's cheese from Monterey, but that name was later shortened to Monterey Jack. Nowadays, the Vela Cheese Company specialises in making an unusual cheese matured in cocoa powder. It's called Vela Dry Jack and was originally created as a substitute for Italian Parmesan during the First World War.
My father founded this company on November 16, 1931, in that building. It's been modified because part of it burned down while he was not there anymore, and he refurbished it. Died in 1995. He was 100 years and 6 weeks old. The best description, and it's the one that the Europeans have put on it, a real European Swiss cheese, an Emmentaler that is more than 100 days old. And it gets, as I'm sure you've tasted it, as it gets older, it gets nuttier. It doesn't get stronger, it doesn't get anything, but it has a nice, nutty, rounded flavor. And that's my ambition, is to have the Dry Jack continue in that, so if somebody who really knows cheese bites into it and says, my word, this tastes very much like aged Emmentaler.
Vela Cheese also make an exciting range of other Californian cheeses, including Monterey Jack. Ig Vela has become an icon in the American cheese-making community, and his passion and enthusiasm for carefully made cheese is quite infectious. Bellwether Farm was created more than 2 decades ago by Cindy Callahan and has since developed a reputation for an outstanding range of cheeses.
Come on. Well, come on. We never dreamed to be doing this. You know, I was a nurse and an attorney after that, and never thought I was going to be a shepherd or making cheese for that matter. But I love it. I tell people that's what I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'm sorry I was already in my 50s when that happened.
Cindy's son Liam joined his mother on the farm after studying for a business degree at the University of California. Liam learnt about the art of cheesemaking on various trips to Italy, and he's obviously a real natural.
We came to the farm here just 20 years ago, and from the city, knowing nothing of agriculture, farming, cheesemaking at all, we needed something to control the grass. By the end of the year, the grass was taller than me. And then within a couple years, we had over 100 sheep. Someone said, maybe you could milk the sheep. I found cheesemaking really challenging and interesting, and we decided to do it, obviously. And our first trips were to Italy, where we've gone 3 different times for 1 month each, touring and visiting other small cheesemakers to learn about what they're doing. On our farm, we have 200 dairy ewes, and we milk them most of the year and make our sheep milk cheeses from that.
Bellwether produce a range of interesting cheeses, including fromage blanc, ricotta, creme fraiche, as well as the aged semi-hard Carmody and Carmody Reserve.
Most people are surprised to see how quickly this cheese sticks together, and that's the protein working for us. We flip this cheese immediately, and then at intervals for the next few hours, in order to get the whey to drain out evenly and to form a nice smooth rind all the way around. We don't put this cheese in a press, so by flipping it like this, we use its own weight to alternately put pressure on the bottom side.
How many times will they be flipped over the next?
They'll be flipped about 10 times over the next 2.5 hours.
Through Cindy's vision and Liam's passion and innovative spirit, the Callahans have created a unique range of Californian cheeses. The far north of California features majestic old redwood forests and a wild, misty coastline. I'm on my way to visit a small dairy, which was originally created from a great alternative lifestyle dream. Mary, what's happening here? Is this the famous Humboldt fog?
This is the famous Humboldt fog. You saw it outside this morning, but this is our interpretation of it in cheese format. So this is a cheese I invented about 10 years ago, and it's half our business now.
Half your business?
Yes. So what we're doing now is we line the mold with a cheesecloth, and then Valentine's going to fill it with the bottom layer of drained curd, and then we sprinkle the ash on the center. All the salt is carried in the ash, so there's no salt in the curd otherwise.
Sel Noir?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after they're complete with that, we put it in the cooler, and then the following day we'll ash the exterior and then let it ripen. We pay a bonus to the farms for high protein and butter fat and milk cleanliness. And when we started doing that, the cheese got much better and the farmers made more money, and so we were all happy.
A creamy, surface-ripened cheese with an edible layer of ash through its centre. This cheese is named after the thick fog that rolls in across the coast. Or perhaps it's a reference to the effects of the local wacky weed.
I started working my way up the coast, escaping people, and ended up here in the early 70s. Lived on a piece of land, 80 acres, where we built a cabin with logs we drug out of the woods with a horse.
Mary and her team are focused on producing a range of goat's cheeses with some very imaginative and cheeky names. For example, Midnight Moon, UFO, Mad River Roll, Bermuda Triangle, Fromage à Trois, which carries the byline, "You always wanted to try it," and Purple Haze. So Terry, what are you doing here?
I'm herbing my cheese with, this is lavender.
Yeah.
And the lavender and fennel pollen.
Fennel pollen?
Yes, and mix them up with purple haze.
Purple haze, like the drug Purple Haze.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you do it?
I put some in, I hold it a little bit here, and then I open a little bit my fingers. See?
Ah, simple. And then just turn it up. Shall I have a go?
Really simple.
So
of course.
So you just take a little bit of this?
Just put your finger a little bit.
Yeah, like that?
It's too much.
Oh, too much?
Yes.
Oh. So what do we do with this one?
Move your finger just a little bit like this.
Ah, there's a real art to it.
There you go.
When you visit this dynamic dairy, it's easy to see why Cypress Grove has grown from its small beginnings.
Just try and really focus on not being mediocre in anything we do.
So quality and flavour.
And fun.
And fun, of course.
Without that, it's no good, yes.
Great. That's fabulous.
From all I've seen on this visit, it certainly looks as if the state of California has a very exciting future when it comes to specialist cheese.